Hello, 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 and welcome to a brand new episode of Dylan Knows. There's Dylan Knows. This is what the episode is all about today. My chicken scratch, as long as I can read my chicken scratch. And it's been a very interesting week here on planet Earth. It's also Father's Day Eve. I'm in charge. And look, all kinds of stuff going on. My birthday. My birthday's on Tuesday, so I will be celebrating my 44th year. Is that right? Yeah, 44th year, going around the sun. Beginning of my 44th year, I should say, ending my 43rd year around the sun. That's on June 20th, and then June 21st is the first day of summer. So today's episode is the last episode of spring. Is the last episode of my age of 44. I'm sorry, 43, excuse me, 43. Um, and I guess that's it, really. So summer comes in full force on Wednesday. That also leads to here in Reisterstown, the beginning of Music on Main Street, which is a popular thing we have here on Main Street. So if you're in the Baltimore area, are looking for something to do on Friday nights, I think generally around 7 o'clock. Usually goes to about 10, maybe sometimes later. I know there's a lot of other places now that are doing it. Hunt Valley's doing it. Owings Mills is doing it. Stuff like that. But, come out to Reisterstown if you want and hang out at the elementary school this year. Usually it's in the middle school. Middle school's getting repaired, getting air conditioning, stuff like that. So it's at the middle school. We got the elementary school. We got some interesting bands. Next week, June 23rd, is Honey Extractor. So come on down for that. We can also discuss my new haircut. It's my new haircut. That's right. Got my new haircut finally. And the funny thing was, I was looking on Facebook, and they have that on this day feature. I got my haircut last year on June 17th, which is what today is too. And oh yeah, my beverage of choice today, and we'll be talking about this a little later in the show, is Zima. Just as I remembered it. For those who just joined me, I'm drinking Zima. There we go. Just I remember, we'll talk about that a little bit too. There's a lot of really crazy stuff going on in the world. Particularly June 14th was quite a disaster in the world today and this week. We also have some deaths we need to discuss. As always, I've overbooked stuff, so we will probably cut some stuff out depending upon the timing, because again, I only like to do the show for about 2 hours at a time, depending on what we're talking about. So I've got a whole lot of stuff to talk about, some personal stuff, and Zima, of course, and just a mind-blowing Shakespeare story that got equally mind-blown about brown cows, which got equally mind-blown about what Michael Phelps is doing, which equally got mind-blown about Wedding Planner, which usually got my mind blown about. What's another mind-blowing thing that we're going to be discussing this week? Gene Simmons. So we got a lot to talk about, so may as well get started right now. So first up, the biggest death of this week, I suppose, not to disparage the deaths of the others famous people or of anybody who passed away this week, has to be Adam West. Everyone knows Adam West as Batman from the 1966 TV show. Everybody seemed to really enjoy Adam West. A lot of people claiming to be he's their Batman, which I can see also. But at the same time, being a comic book fan, you cringe every time you watch a episode of the Batman TV series. That being said, though, I did watch the show, not in 66, obviously, since I'm going to be 44 on Tuesday. You do the math, it's 1973. For those who don't know, it's when I was born. So I watched in syndication, and it was, it was a family friendly thing, and you wouldn't think it would be, but the fact of the matter is, what they did is instead of showing someone actually getting punched in the face or kicked or thrown through a wall or whatever, they put the big giant comic book sound effect. Boom, zam, zing, whatever. And they didn't show the violence, which was really interesting. Plus, you got a lot of the famous, thank you, Patrick, for retweeting that. We got a lot of famous actors for the time to come in and do roles on the show. Actors such as Vincent Price, Frank Gorshin, Cesar Romero, Eartha Kitt, Lee Merriweather. I'm trying to remember some of the other ones. Oh God, who played the Penguin? Is killing me. I know he's famous. I can't think of all their names right now. It'll come to me eventually. Jeez, I gotta look it up because it's gonna kill me if I know. See, this is one thing. If you've never seen the show before, I have mind farts. Maybe it's because I drank too much Zima in college. Burgess Meredith, thank you. I didn't have to look it up. Yeah, take that. I found out by myself. Oh wait, I don't need this. This is something from work from Friday. Delete that off of there. So big actors of the time, and Adam West, Burt Ward, and just bringing a lot of fun to the world of Batman in a time when, before, at the time, Batman wasn't the dark and brooding character we knew and loved. That started coming in the 1970s when Denny O'Neil took over the character and turned it into the Batman we all know and love now. But there's nothing wrong with it, and it was fun, old-fashioned kid stuff. And seeing a lot of the memes now out there has the original Justice League would be great to have seen Adam West, Christopher Reeve, and Linda Carter as your Trinity, because they each played Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. So pretty cool about that. So I talked to my dad about it because I think he died on last Saturday, 1 week from today, from 1 week ago. I did my show on Friday last week because my wife went down to Snarkstock in Atlanta, Georgia. This is thanks to my co-host Jerry Fletcher. She made a bunch of these for everybody at Snarkstock and got me an extra one for me and the kids since I wasn't able to go. So I decided to do Friday because I wanted to spend time with the kids on Saturday and Sunday. So that's why I did my show Friday night. Saturday at lunch with my dad, because my kids hadn't seen their granddad or their grandma in a while. I got the news over the phone that Adam West had died. And I told my dad, and I talked to my dad about it, and he knew a lot of the actors from the show, I guess. And it shouldn't have surprised me, but my dad, I mean, he's the one who started my comic book collection. My obsession with comics is all because of my dad. He gave me his collection of Spider-Man and got me and sent me on my way. He said, here, these are yours. Do with them what you like. And I read them, and I bought more and more. And we watched, some of the comic book movies that came out during the time, but then not so much. He wasn't as big of a fan anymore. He had more pressing things on his mind. He was a math teacher until he retired recently. So, but he knew a lot of the names of the characters and the actors who were in it. And I guess he must have watched it during the time. That's what he remembered it. So it's always interesting to talk to my dad about that and to have a conversation about something that I didn't think he would remember, or if he watched it, I don't know. But it was the fact that my dad, who's not a big time, watcher of stuff like that, was able to reel off names of the actors who played in the roles and talk about the show as a sign that how deep the show went for a lot of people. And it's been all over Twitter for the last week about things. And then Los Angeles did a great job by beaming the bat signal up on the wall at City Hall, which was iconic from the Dragnet TV series. So kind of a good display for that. So rest in peace, Adam West. That I talk about, I can't find where there it is, bat signal. Since we're on the topic of death, let's hit some of the other actors who died. One actor and one director also died. John G. Avildsen, who directed the first 3 Karate Kid movies, Rocky 1 and Rocky 3 or 4. It was the other one he did also. I think it was 3 because I think Stallone didn't direct them. No, Stallone didn't direct any of them, I don't think, except the later ones. But he did Rocky and the Karate Kid movies, and he did Lean on Me with Morgan Freeman. So he didn't really do a lot, didn't direct a lot of movies, but iconically, the Karate Kid 1, 2, and 3. I personally, in my opinion, it's just my personal opinion, it might be an unpopular opinion, I like Karate Kid 2 better than Karate Kid 1, just because I like the location of Japan and you get a little more background into Mr. Miyagi's character. So I like that aspect of it. I mean, the first one, yes, was original, stuff like that. And the second one you could say was, but see, the second one really wasn't a lazy rewrite because Ralph Macchio's character wasn't getting beaten up by a gang of thugs. There was one guy who was being trained by the rival of Pat Morita's, Mr. Miyagi. They had a rival they were in love with the same woman. And the guy he trained was kind of thuggish. But in the end, that was really it. It was Mr. Miyagi's story, and the fact that they went back to Japan, and I'm pretty sure they probably filmed it in Japan and did more as close as they could to Japan. It was really interesting, and it gave it a different. And in this case, it wasn't. The film wasn't really about winning a tournament. It was about honor and family and stuff like that. So that's why I like the second one. Third one is okay, but John G. Avildsen, he directed those 3. The original Rocky, of course, classic. Stallone wrote that one, and he won an Oscar, I think, for the script for that one. And then, of course, Rocky 2 is really good, and then Rocky 3 Rocky 3 and 4 were like the perfect 80s movies. Rocky 3 with Mr. T's character coming in, and Rocky 4 with America, taking on the Russians. So during the middle of the Cold War, so it's kind of interesting. But he didn't have anything to do with that one. But Rocky was, again, iconic character, much the same as the Karate Kid is. So John G. Avildsen had, you could claim that he was one of the ones that helped create that version of the iconic characters like that. So rest in peace to John as well. And finally, just learned today, not too long ago, that Stephen Furst, actor, age 63, passed away. Most people remember him as Flounder from the Animal House movies, but more sci-fi fans remember him from Babylon 5. You also might remember him from the TV show St. Elsewhere. He was also in the movie The Dream Team with Michael Keaton, which is an underrated film. And then he was also in the scary Cold War 1980s TV movie The Day After about a nuclear holocaust. So, most people will remember him as Flounder. The sci-fi gang, the sci-fi group will remember him as Babylon 5 and the fans of that. And, you can't, he was, a good actor, one of those that, you've heard of. And when you say, yeah, he was in Animal House, he played Flounder, automatically you know exactly who he is. He was the legacy that was going to be able to get into Animal House, but he fit in perfectly with the Deltas. And did his thing. Was the one that was tormented by Niedermeyer in the ROTC, so it was kind of funny. And he's the one that ended up giving the horse a heart attack in the dean's office. If you haven't seen the movie, you're not going to know what I'm talking about. It's well worth it. If you haven't seen the movie, it's a hard rated R, so I don't show the kids. But if you haven't seen it and you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, whatever, I highly recommend checking it out. It's a fun film. Get a young Kevin Bacon in it as well. Who plays a bad guy technically, but kind of a fun film, and definitely check it out. And Stephen Furst was a big part of that film. Had a lot of the good lines, good role. Had was part of one of my favorite scenes where his brother, the character Flounder's brother, lent him a car. The car got damaged by the Deltas, and his brother was going to kill him. So John Belushi's character tried to cheer him up, and one of the characters was like, "You better listen to him." John Belushi's like, "My advice to you is to start drinking heavily." And then Belushi starts drinking heavily, and then one of the guy goes, "You better listen to him. He's pre-med." And then the other guy goes, "I thought he was pre-law." And the guy's like, "It's the same thing." So it's a funny thing. So my advice to you is to start drinking heavily. So classic line. Now, Belushi said to actor Stephen Furst, who passed away today at the age of 63. So rest in peace to you guys. Again, not to disparage those who passed away, who weren't celebrities. And unfortunately, since we're on this topic, we may as well continue on with it. And we'll get into better stuff soon. Trust me on that. June 14th was quite a rough day here, and I guess it was all the stuff took place in the United States. Yeah, it did. This year, I did an episode of my show last year, I think, sometime, talking about the bad April, about all the bad things that have happened in April, the month of April. Well, this June 14th was trying to make up for all that. Now, it started off as a bright, shining day. It was Flag Day, as it always is. The Fort McHenry here in Baltimore, they do a fantastic Flag Day ceremony. I've been there a few times. I haven't been in a few years because it's just not. It's particularly with Flag Day falling in the middle of the week, it's hard to get the kids out there. But it's definitely a family-friendly venue with fireworks and music, and you say the pledge, and there's bands and all kinds of flag stuff. And you're Fort McHenry, so you get the big giant American flag that hangs over the fort there that you can see forever. So that's pretty cool. And it's also this year was the 5th anniversary of us adopting my cat Jinx, who is surprisingly not down here with me today. She's probably upstairs. I think last I saw she's passed out on one of our chairs upstairs. So more power to her. But it was so it started off pretty nice about that, and then we hear early on in the morning, there was a shooting at a baseball field in Virginia where members of the GOP, the Republican Party, were practicing for an annual baseball game they play for charity against the Democrats. It was at Nationals Park this year. So the Republicans went out to this baseball field to get a little extra practice in before their event, which is a good bipartisan event where it raises money for charity and they give charity, and it's just the GOP versus the Democrats. And so you all the political crap that's going on goes out the window. And during that game, it's a fun bipartisan activity. But this year was quite different when a lone gunman came out and opened fire on the Republicans and other aides who were there practicing for the game that night, shooting Minority Whip. Don't have his name on there. You've read the story before, but by now. But he was the Minority Whip was injured, as were a number of other people. 2 Capitol police officers having been in the area were the ones who were able to stop the shooting before it escalated any further. So they were heroes as well, protecting them. So there's been a lot of bickering about gun control and violence now that it's up against the Republicans. They're complaining about it. When it was going to happen against the Democrats, there was not a peep about it. But I don't want to get into the partisan stuff about that, so I'm just going to out the window. So that happened in the morning. I was like, okay, it's a terrible event. Unfortunately, it happens in this country, and it'll give people stuff to talk about. Well, little did they know, a few hours later, and I just lost my viewer because they don't want to hear me doing political talks. A few hours later, in San Francisco, there was a shooting at a UPS facility. And I think 3 dead, and the shooter killed himself. So that's 2 gun attacks in one day. Right there. So again, that's terrible. Then there was a shooting in Brooklyn, New York. The same day, and there was a suspicious package found in an Austin IRS facility office as well. So 4 major events that happened in one day, and then we were recovering from what had happened in England the night before. A massive fire destroyed a housing complex. They're still digging out the amount of bodies. I think last I heard was about 30 some people were dead in that one. So all in all, June 14th was a rough day. So that's June 17th, not 16th, dumbass. So another, what the hell? Oh, okay, I know what that is. All right, that's something else completely. So that was what happened this week on June 14th. But one other good thing about June 14th also was my son had his first, his Yes, his first hip hop class. My daughter has been doing dance for years, and my son has had to go to the recitals and has kind of enjoyed the recitals, what he's seen. Um, then he decided he wanted to do it, and he wanted to do hip hop. So uh, what happens is at the dance school that we have in our area up here in Reisterstown, they do a summer session. They do 2 summer sessions. It's 4 classes from June to July, and then July to August. And they're pretty much the same classes, but different times, different teachers. In this case, he wanted to do hip hop for ages 7 to 10, I guess 7 to 10, and he's 7, so he could do that. So we signed him up for it. It was for 4 classes, only 45 minutes. It was like $40. So it was, what do you got to do? So what the point of this is, you get somebody to try out the dance recital or the dance to see what the dance class is like. And if they really enjoy it, then you sign up for the 9-month course, whatever. Let's see what it is. It's September, October, November, December, January, February, March, March, April, May. Yeah, about 9-month class that ends with a recital in May or early June, depending on when the date is that they're available. So if you like with my son, he loved the hip hop class, and he wants to keep doing it. So after the 4 classes are up, we will probably sign him up in the fall, along with my daughter, who wants to do hip hop again, because she was doing hip hop 2 this year. She wants to do hip hop 3, the next level up. We'll probably sign them both up for dance classes, and they will go once a week from September to May. Little breaks here and there, Christmas and Thanksgiving and stuff like that. So they get little breaks in there as well. And then they will both be in the dance recital that occurs. So that's really kind of neat. So the fact is, what was really interesting, though, about it is when we went to sign up, I was able to look into the book to see where they signed them up, and it appeared to be like 7 people in the class. It's like, okay, that'd be a nice, good atmosphere for him to learn in and whatever. And the first class was on June 14th. So my wife took him up to the dance class. He was the only one. And the teacher was there. It wasn't like the teacher canceled the class or whatever. No, she was there. She was expecting a full class, but instead got my son and my son alone. So she said, do you want to dance, or do you want to call it a day? And Noah was like, I want to dance. So Miss Jessica, his teacher, was like, well, all right, let's do it. So he had a private lesson with Miss Jessica, with my wife watching. She videotaped some of it, and when my son came back, he was so stoked, so excited, and so much fun. In fact, today at dinner, he asked when the next dance class was, and I said, it's not till Wednesday, bud. So he's like, oh, shoot. So he has to wait till next Wednesday. So he really, really likes it. So this could be a really interesting turn of events. We'll see if he gets the full class in on the 21st, and see if they're really interested, and see if he'll still like it when he's not the one-on-one target. But Miss Jessica, who my daughter's had a couple times, is really good at her job. They have really good teachers up there. Miss Katie's another really, really good one up there. And I forget the Russian teacher that my daughter had also was really, really good too. Again, if you haven't seen the show, I have these little lapses of memory loss. So I'm getting older. I'm going to be 44 on Tuesday. So it's my birthday. And I'm drinking an alcoholic beverage, so that'll kill you. Anyway, so that was kind of neat that he was able to have his own private dance thing, and it got him really, really excited. It was more excited than I've ever seen him before in my life. So kudos to my son, and kudos to Miss Jessica for making it a lot of fun for him. Next up, while we're on dates, let's talk about today's date, June 17th. Well, what happened on June 17th? Well, I didn't remember this. I probably should have, because I watched it. But June 17th, 1994, which makes that 23 years ago? 94, 2004, yep, 23 years ago, was the night that O.J. Simpson got into the white Bronco and had the white Bronco chase through the streets of Los Angeles. Well, the highways of Los Angeles, I should say, after the death of his wife and her friend. And a lot of people thought that was proof of guilt right there, but he had to go through the court case, and we all know what happened. It was a disaster of a court case, a big clown party, circus, whatever you want to call it, which ended with him getting acquitted of the charges. So, we're not going to delve into the O.J. Simpson thing, but I just thought it was an interesting side note that 23 years ago, everybody was glued to their seat watching a white Bronco driving through the streets or the highways of California. Now we got that as well. Let's cover Check I Day. For those who see my show, I love holidays, and every day is a holiday. I call it every day is a holiday, and it is because there's a site on Twitter called checkiday.com, @checkiday, or you can go to the website checkiday.com, and it lists all the holidays that are official for this day. And there's some really, really weird ones, and just interesting ones in general. And I always, not every time, but I always like to try to read some of these from a few of the days around surrounding it. So today, not a lot was going on, but it was National Apple Strudel Day today. It was National Eat Your Vegetables Day. It's Stewart's Root Beer Day. World Day to Combat Desertification and Drought. World Juggling Day. And that's it. Yesterday, Friday the 16th, was Bloom's Day, Fresh Veggies Day, International Day of the African Child, Ladies Initiated in Baseball Day, National Day of Prayer for Law Enforcement Officers, National Flip Flop Day, National Fudge Day, National Vinegar Day, No Orange Clothes Day, Ugliest Dog Day, Wish Fulfillment Day, Work at Home Father's Day, which would have been nice to know. Well, I did, but I couldn't really work from home at my job. World Sea Turtle Day. That was all on Friday. And anything interesting on Thursday? Yeah, Thursday has some interesting ones. Thursday was Corpus Christi, Flag Kite Day, Global Wind Day, Justice for Janitors Day, Magna Carta Day, National Dump the Pump Day, National Electricity Day, National Lobster Day, National Smile Power Day, Native American Citizenship Day, which is kind of odd because the Native Americans were already living in America when we emigrated here because we're all immigrants. National Photography Day, Recess at Work Day, World Elder Abuse Awareness Day, Worldwide Day of Giving. Those are all on Thursday. So I don't know. Can I see what tomorrow is? Let's just see if they have tomorrow's list up that I can maybe check out. Let's see. Yep. We'll do tomorrow's real quick. Tomorrow's Autistic Pride Day, Family Awareness Day, Father's Day, obviously, Go Fishing Day, Husband Caregiver Day, International Panic Day, International Picnic Day, International Sushi Day, National Splurge Day. So that's all that's going to happen tomorrow. So there's some good stuff for you to have fun with, particularly if you like sushi. It's National Sushi Day tomorrow. And of course, take your father or your husband who is who is not your father but is a father, if you want to take him out to get sushi. I am not getting sushi, which is okay. I don't mind. I like sushi, but I'm not a big sushi fan. Instead, we are going to go down to my in-laws' house. And the main reason we always go to my in-laws' house is because my wife has two sisters who are also married and have kids right around the same age as my kids. So they get to play with their cousins, and they like and enjoy playing with their cousins. So we're going to have 6 kids running around acting crazy. And my mother-in-law makes too much food. And right now, Dawn is making the appetizers. Appetizers are fantastic at my in-laws' house. We do baby pizzas, pigs in a blanket, pepperoni, cheese, monkey bread, something called taco dip, guacamole, sometimes Frito dip, which is fantastic. Shrimp we usually have sometimes. So we get a lot of really cool stuff and interesting things to eat. And, you don't eat lunch. If you're going down to my in-laws' house, you don't eat lunch because they'll have tons of appetizers, and then dinner is just going to be easy. Grilled stuff, hot dogs, hamburgers, Italian sausage. I guess they're going to get my father-in-law to do it, even though it's Father's Day also, but he likes to cook that kind of stuff. So we'll see what happens. So I think the girls are making salads and desserts and stuff like that. So it should be a fun celebration. Let's just celebrate a lot of stuff also. We'll be able to help celebrate my nephew Carson's birthday way back on May 5th. We were unable to be there for his party because of something. I forget what was going on. When they celebrate, we were going to my mom's Mother's Day, was it? I think that's what it was. And so we weren't able to celebrate that with him. And we'll celebrate my mother-in-law's birthday was June 2nd. She also retired finally on May 31st. So we'll celebrate that as well. And I don't know, maybe they'll celebrate my birthday too. It all depends because my birthday's on Tuesday, June 20th. I'll be 44 years old. So we'll see what happens with that. So I covered that. Now we're going to go to the absurd. And this is not an Onion story. This is a real life event that's going to happen for Shark Week. Michael Phelps, who's a local guy here, I lived in the neighborhood he grew up in. I'm older than him, obviously, so I was out of there by the time he was a young and still living around there. But he lived in the Rogers Forge area. I lived in Ansley. Ansley was literally right across the street from Rogers Forge. There's York Road. Got Ansley on this side, Rogers Forge on the other side. So he lived in Rogers Forge. I lived in Ansley. He went to my high school, Towson High School. They've actually changed the name of the road outside of the school to Michael Phelps Drive or something like that after he won his gold medals. And then there was a parade for him when he had his record-breaking year. I think it was 2012, I guess. So that was interesting to see. And it was up on York Road, so we could just go up to the top of my mom's street, who still lives where I grew up. We just went up there and had perfect view of him walking down the street. So it was great. And it was a big parade too. So kind of interesting. But he is apparently going to be racing a great white shark for Shark Week. Now, I don't know exactly how it's going to happen. And as far as I know, from what I've read, that's not an Onion article or a fake news or whatever. It's a real documentary, because Shark Week has actually gone crazy a few times with some of their stories. In this case, he's going to be swimming with a great white shark, and we still don't quite know how that's going to happen, because you're not going to want to put him in an open area with a great white shark. And also, how are you going to get the shark to swim straight? I don't know. It's one of those things that, someone was sitting around, idea says, hey, well, we have Michael Phelps race a great white shark. They're like, brilliant. And they're like, okay, how are we going to do it? I don't know. I'm sure they'll have it figured out by, I guess it's August when they do Shark Week, early August. I think Shark Week is probably going to be the week that I'm on vacation. So it usually is. When we usually go vacation the first week of August, and that tends to be when Shark Week is on Discovery. So if it's on, we'll find out more, and maybe I'll check it out. I don't know. But I just thought that was kind of a weird story. Another weird one, which is kind of sad instead of weird, is, and this is another one that's not an Onion article, but you're like, really? It's not an Onion article or fake news? No. 7% of people think chocolate milk comes from brown cows. When you're a kid, you know the joke, milk comes from cows. Where do chocolate milks come from? Chocolate cows, or brown cows in this case. 7% people believe it. 7% people believe that there are cows that squirt out chocolate milk. Chocolate milk is created by using chocolate syrup or chocolate powder in the case of Nestle, which I used to drink all the time, but now it's Hershey syrup for my kids. And you mix it up together. It's milk, white milk from cows, mixed with chocolate. Hence the name chocolate milk. Brown cows do not give chocolate milk. No wonder we're in the situation we're in now, but I digress again. I just found that really odd and really not really funny, just kind of odd. I don't know. I think I'm gonna wait for that later. What's next? Oh, Jesus. Alcoholic beverage is making me tired. But I got another hour to go. Come on. Actually, no, I got an hour and a half to go. Hold on. Yeah, I got an hour and a half to go. Come on, man. You got to do this. All right, let's do this. All right. I'm running through the stuff, though. Another story of the absurd. Now we're going to get a little political, but I have to because it's absurd. Our president, who I'm not going to name because I refuse to name him, because if you see my show, you know my views on it. You can thumbs down, whatever. I don't care. He is hiring his son-in-law's wedding planner to head up a HUD agency, House and Urban Development, which is run by another person who is thoroughly has no experience, Dr. Ben Carson. A wedding planner will be making decisions about the House and Urban Development. A wedding planner. Julius Caesar. You know where I'm going with this. Central Park, I believe, they do a Shakespeare in the Park every year, and they get a little political sometimes. This year they're doing Julius Caesar. And for those who don't know what Julius Caesar is about the Roman emperor who gets assassinated on the Ides of March, which is March 15th, by Brutus and Cassius and all those guys. And then about how the government goes into flux and how things change. And Antony comes in and saves the day, type of thing, and leads into the sequel, which is Antony and Cleopatra. Well, kind of sequel. Now, Shakespeare, you can, it's written so that you can adjust the time and location of it. Like, as I've mentioned before on my show before, I've done Shakespeare literally where I acted it out twice on stage. And then once I helped work backstage. Unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, because I don't mind it, but the funny thing is, the two shows I did on stage and the one I helped, I was a stage crew or whatever, helping a friend of mine from college. They were all the same story. They were the Comedy of Errors, which is one of Shakespeare's lesser known plays. That's one of his earlier ones where he wasn't quite Shakespeare, if you know what I'm saying. It was a silly, goofy, scatological play. A lot of fun to do, a lot of fun to watch, lots of laughs. My junior year of high school, we set it in the time period it was supposed to be in Shakespeare's time. So I had to wear tights and all kinds of cool stuff. I also got water dumped on my head three times during the main show. So that was fun. Then I went to college, and my sophomore year of college, we did a version of Comedy of Errors. Now, yeah, I did audition for the main role, but my director decided to put me in a lesser role, which is fine. And that was the role of the soothsayer, the priest guy who only is in one scene near the end where he's trying to calm down one of the crazy brothers. It's a long story. I'll explain to you. I've already explained it to you already in one of my other shows. Go to my YouTube channel, look for playlists, look for Dylan Knows, and just watch every episode until you find the one you're looking for. But my point is that you can set Shakespeare in any time you want. It's easily fixed, so you can set it in any time period: the future, past, present, World War II, World War I, whatever. You could set a story, and at any time, you'll still use the Shakespearean language, and that's the weird part. But you can set it in any time frame. So the one we did my sophomore year of college, we set in present day Philadelphia, and it took place in South Street. So our stage director, or set designer, I should say, he drove to South Street, which is only about 45 minutes to an hour away from where I went to college. And he just spent the afternoon taking pictures of storefronts and the roads and stuff like that. And he developed a set using real buildings from South Street to have it take place in South Street. Color schemes, neon signs, that type of stuff. And it was all contemporary. The clothing was contemporary. We had prostitutes dressed as prostitutes. One of the characters is a prostitute, to be honest. A pawnbroker was another character that we did. And then my character, the soothsayer, who is a religious leader, we turned into a Southern evangelical type. The fire and brimstone, you're going to go to hell. You go to hell when you die, that type of thing. So it was a lot of fun. So you can set it in any time period. So the Shakespeare in the Park in New York City tends to set things in present day or whatever sometimes. They use this different sets for different times. Well, this version of Julius Caesar, they set in present time, and they made Julius Caesar be our president. And, of course, the time comes when the president gets assassinated and gets stabbed in the back multiple times. And so that happens. And Delta and one other company who are sponsoring it, they said, we're not going to sponsor this. You just killed the president. And then all of his fanatics were like, yeah, we got to stop this. Let's protest it. This is stupid. And they tried to shut down one of the shows the other night. And a couple people were yelling, screaming during this live show. One person climbed up on the stage and tried to shut it down by making comments or whatever. They were ushered off and arrested, and the crew finished up the show. What makes me cringe, and everybody's like saying how horrible and what a terrible thing, and that it's a terrible thing to see, you need to respect the president, blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm not surprised that you don't remember this because you're all a bunch of damn hypocrites. The year was 2012. Shakespeare in the Park did Julius Caesar. In present day. And oh my goodness, who was in the role of Julius Caesar? Why, they had a Barack Obama lookalike. And he gets stabbed and killed just like Julius Caesar does and like the current president did recently, because it's part of the play. You're not really killing somebody. And guess what? Nobody complained. Nobody pulled the advertising when a black president gets assassinated by a bunch of white people. And liberals, as you've always called us snowflakes or libertards, whatever, we did not protest or scream and yell because we know it's a fucking story. It's a play. And then you guys who were you shouldn't pretend to assassinate a president. You said nothing when a black president got assassinated. Guess what? That makes you a fucking racist, you son of a bitch. Hypocrite motherfuckers. But I digress. I need to remind you, my birthday's on Tuesday. I'll be 44 years old. Yeah, boy. All right, let's get into something a little bit lighter. I got a new door. How about that? I actually wrote that down already. On the show a while back, I think I still have it on my camera. I'll give you the exact date for it. But a while back, let me just say, I live in a townhome community. So there's HOA and stuff like that. Well, our HOA is basically useless. That's all I'm going to say about that. Anyway, they've been sending us letters for years saying that you need to fix this. You need to fix that. Because, yes, I understand our house was not the best looking one in the area. Yes, I do realize our front door was a mess. Yes, I do realize we were missing 2 shutters on the outside of our house. Yes, I realize that our garden was a fucking weed bed. I understand all this. I got all that. And I also know that, we had our exhaust fan from the dryer vent was being inhabited by birds, but so was our neighbors, to be fair. And the door had fallen off, so it was just a big hole. So yeah, the exterior of our house looked bad. And they kept saying we need to repair this or we need to repair that. And, if not, there's going to be stuff that's going to happen to us. And nothing ever happened to us because it's not that we didn't want to. but this shit's expensive. We tried putting the shutters on once and it didn't work, so we needed to find a professional to do it because I'm not professional at anything. I'm the first person to admit that I can't do a lot of things, and I talked about this on my show already, so I'm not going to cover that ground anymore. But, we were able to scrounge up some money because it's expensive. And again, special thanks goes out to my father-in-law, who, with along my mother-in-law, are helping bankroll this. They got us a contractor, and they were able to come in and repair what we need to be done. But before we got to that, I got my mom to come in. She's a master gardener. She came in and she tore out the weeds and cleaned up our garden and planted new stuff. And she did a really great job. And so then my dad, who's used this contractor multiple times for his own house, they came up here, they repaired our door, got some new dryer vent type of thing on the outside of the house, got the birds out. Apparently there were 6 bird nests in there. So that was interesting to hear about that. So now we have a new front door, and it looks great. There's still a little bit work, and then our bay window has these wood panels on it. They were getting a little cracked up and crumbly. They fixed those as well. We just need to have someone come in and paint a lot of stuff, or we can do it ourselves. That's easy to do. And then they hung the shutters back up, so now we got our shutters back up as well. We now just need to have someone clean out our gutters and do the painting, and the exterior of the house should be okay. So this week. It was the 14th, actually. I was just talking about June 14th. So flashback to Groundhog Day of this year, February 2nd. I had a crappy day at work. And I come home with the kids. My wife hadn't gotten home from work yet. And I approach the door, and on the door is this note. See if you can see it. I'll read it to you, but that was a sticky note. Was on my door, and it said, "Please repair the front of your house. It looks so crummy and has a negative impact on all your neighbors, please." And that is it. No name, no how can we help, just blind, your house sucks, clean it up. Yes, I know my house sucks, but you don't know me. You don't know anything about me, and you leave a unsigned note on my door. How the hell do you know that I had the money to repair the door, and maybe I lost my mother? Maybe she died. Maybe we had a car accident, had to buy a new car. Maybe something happened to one of my kids. Maybe we had a family emergency. Maybe something happened on the inside of the house we had to repair. You don't know why I hadn't gotten it repaired yet. Maybe I was going to, but something happened. You didn't know. It's absolutely no reason to send me that rude note. And I showed that to everybody the next few days, and I don't know if they're just being nice to me or whatever, but they all agreed, and they said that was a stupid, asinine, dick move that they did. And I still haven't heard, don't know who it is, and haven't gotten another note since. But what's frustrating me now is I hope that the dick who put that sign on the wall on my door, who walks by my house now and sees the repairs we did to it, I hope he doesn't think that was because of me. I sent him that note. Yeah, remember that? Yeah, I remember talking to his wife or whatever, or maybe it was his wife who did it. It's like, yeah, remember we sent him that note, and look at their house. They got it fixed. It's because of us. No, it wasn't. Shut the fuck up. We did it because we finally were able to get the money together. We were finally able to get a contractor to do it, because we'd gotten a contractor to come in and take a look at our roof and gave us he said he was going to give us a quote and never did. But then he also said he could do the door also for like $5,000. So I said, we'll let him know. But I was expecting a quote for our roof, and it never came. So that frustrated me as well, because we could have gotten it done earlier. That was before, I think in January, we had the guy come. So it was before this stupid note. But that's the thing that's pissing me off right now, is I really, really hope that whoever wrote that note doesn't walk by our house and says, they did that because of me. Because now they'd be like, now if I find something else I don't like about it, I'm just going to leave a note, and guess what? They're going to do it. Stupid as hell. Damn, I'm moving a lot faster than I thought I would be. When I was talking about stupid stuff, I didn't talk about this. Gene Simmons, lead singer of Kiss, wants to copyright that. I think it's that. It's not that. I mean, it is that. This is Hook 'em Horns. He wants to. This is like the devil horns, like which he does. He wants to copyright this, which means that if it works, if someone does this, they have to pay Gene Simmons to do this. That's freaking stupid. I'm sorry. Yes, I know, Gene Simmons, you are a businessman, and a pretty good one, because you made a ton of money from your band Kiss with all the advertising and toys and comic books and stuff like that. But to trademark this, you're a special kind of stupid, aren't you? It's like somebody trying to trademark Happy Birthday. I mean, yeah, granted, probably the person who created it probably could have trademarked it because they created it. But nowadays, it's now in the free range, so I can say Happy Birthday all I want and not have to pay anybody or sing Happy Birthday. Which reminds me, my birthday's on June 20th, Tuesday. I'll be 44 years old. Here's a funny story about me. I had our third toilet seat broke. We have 4 toilets, I should say 4 bathrooms in this house. We have 3 full and 1 half. There's one back there. One back there, actually, there's one right there. That one back there is the only one that the toilet seat hasn't broken, and that's because we barely use this bathroom down here because we haven't cleaned this shit up yet. So let's see, what was the first one that broke? The first one that broke was our master bathroom up in my wife and I's bedroom. It took us a while to get that repaired, but we finally got that repaired. We got a whole new toilet out of the deal because our toilet was fucked up also. Then the kids' bathroom, their toilet seat broke also. It was been a few years in between stuff. Dawn and I's toilet seat broke 3 years ago, maybe. We got a new toilet 2 years ago. We got a new toilet. The kids broke last year. We got that fixed. And now the one in our half bath upstairs is broken. I swear, I don't have any proof. I think it was the contractor and his crew that broke it. I don't have any proof, though. So we'll get that repaired as well. But I just find it funny that, I've lived in this house since 2004. So that's what, 13 years. Actually, 2004, 13 years as of July 3rd was when we moved in officially. So almost 13 years I've lived in this house. And in that time period, 3 of our 4 toilet seats have broken. As I said, we don't use this one too much down here, but that one eventually will probably break as soon as we get this cleaned up. And hopefully, maybe it won't. But we'll get to here. I just found it a funny thing and another way to kill some time here. So, boom. Another personal story. Because we didn't get any, we had 1 snow day this year in Baltimore County schools because we had a very non-snowy, non-cold winter, really, to be honest. School was supposed to let out for the kids this past yesterday. It should have been the last day of school for the kids. And then they'd have the weekend, and then camp starts for them on Monday. But because we didn't use all the sick day or the snow days, which are built into the schedule, they said, well, you know what? We covered your bases, so you guys can leave early. So they moved the last day of school to Tuesday, the 13th. So last day of school for the kids was the 13th. So at this point, my wife and I, we didn't have any coverage for 14th, 15th, and 16th for the kids. So my wife was able to take off the 14th to watch them. A lot happened on the 14th now, didn't it? And then I asked my mom, who hasn't had a real chance to watch the kids in a while because my stepdad fell late last year and has been in the hospital in and out and is now sort of an invalid, as it were. And my mom's taking care of him. But they're in a routine now that she can spend some time with her grandkids who love her and she loves them. So she said she could take them for both Thursday and Friday, so they would spend the night over their house. And so she came up on Thursday, took them back to her house, and they stayed there all Thursday, spent like Thursday night and Friday, and then I picked them up late yesterday. But that happening Thursday night was a date night for my wife and I. Now, and I will tell you this: my wife and I have been together almost 17 years. 17 years September, and we've been married. Our anniversary will be 14 years, October 4th. So we've been married as of now, we've been married for 13 plus years, and we've been together for 16 plus years. And we still, to this day, we still adore each other. And that's the one thing you need to have in a relationship. If you want a long-lasting relationship, you need to spend some time with just the two of you, especially if you have kids. If you don't have kids, then you got nothing to worry about. But if you have kids, and anyone will tell you this, date nights are always good because let's face facts here. Now, kids are going to get older. Eventually, they're going to move out. They're going to go to college. They're going to move out. And it's going to be you two. And if you lose the connection that the two of you had before kids because of the kids, after the kids are gone, you're either going to have to work to get that connection back, or you guys are just going to drift away, or just be one of those couples that never talks to each other, does anything. Now, neither of us wants to do that. We want to be together forever, basically. I mean, that's what we said in our wedding vows. So one way to do that is to go out on these date nights. It's just the two of you going out on a date or doing something fun you like to do. Now, we had one back for her birthday. We had a date weekend back in March. And we'll find a couple other times here and there, and we find some stuff. I mean, yeah, after the kids go to bed, we have some time together, but most of the time we're just kind of relaxing a little bit. But the key to a successful relationship is going out for date nights. And I know a lot of people agree with me because I've seen pictures on Facebook and Twitter and stuff like that saying, date night, yay, stuff like that, which is fun because you need to have that to get that connection between you and your spouse. So we had date night, and it was interesting. My wife had a all-day meeting, so she was wiped because she doesn't like meetings, and she's really busy as it is at her job. And now she was just thinking about all the stuff she's got to do and stuff like that. So, plus it was warm; it was really hot. So we met up at a place called Hunt Valley Town Center, which used to be a mall, but now it's what we call like a Main Street feel, where they've got a bunch of stores surrounding like a main thoroughfare where cars go and park and stuff like that. And then there's like restaurants and liquor stores and grocery store. Wegmans is there, and then you've got like what do you call them, like spas and Five Belows and shoe stores and bookstores. They got everything there, so it's great. Plus they've got like a nice little gazebo thing where bands play during the evening. They've got water fountains. They've got topiary bushes made of like that look like animals and stuff like that. So it's kind of nice. And so it's right near where her work is. And so they also have a movie theater there. So my wife hadn't seen Guardians of the Galaxy 2 yet, and she wanted to. So we decided we were going to go to the movie there. They had now this is part of the story. I checked online for movie times for Thursday, June 15th. And Guardians of the Galaxy 2, they had a 6:20 p.m. event at the movie theater up there in Hunt Valley. So, okay, we'll go there. We'll see the movie at 6:20. It's like 2.5 hours, roughly about with previews, all that's about 2.5 hours long, whatever. So we'll have a late dinner about 9 o'clock where we can go to one of the restaurants. There's a Green Turtle there, Barrett's, California Pizza Kitchen, wherever you could go, anywhere you want to. There's plenty of places to eat, depending on what you feel like, a Payway, anything. So we did that. So we said, okay, let's go and get our tickets. So we went and got our tickets. Well, we didn't get tickets. Let me explain. We went to get the tickets. And I looked up on the board. There was no 6:20 show for Guardians of the Galaxy 2. So the ticket person said, I looked online for today. It was said it said June 15th. There's supposed to be a 6:20 show. She didn't know why, and so there wasn't a show. Now, either they canceled it because they hadn't had anybody come to like the earlier Guardians shows. Like, no one's going to come to this one, so let's just cancel it and use that 6:20 time slot for one of these movies. Like Cars 3 came out this week, and the Scarlett Johansson date night movie, or not shower, bachelorette movie came out this week too. So Thursdays they like to have the sneak previews, and then Friday it'll come out. So maybe said, we'll just take that 6:20. Nobody's going to come to it anyway, and we'll give it to Cars 3 or something like that. Gives another showing for Cars 3 because people want to come see that because it's brand new. So that pissed us off. My wife was already, as I said, kind of out of it because she had a long day and was hot and frustrated, and she's like, ugh. What do you want to do now? I was like, okay, why don't we just go get something to eat? It was like 6:30. It was like 6 o'clock by that time because we were going to get in there early enough. So it was about 6 o'clock. So we go to the Green Turtle, which is, I don't know if you guys have it. Maryland, you know what it is. It's like a local bar pub type of thing. So we went there, and once we got our drinks, she started, relaxing a little bit, and they were giving out free T-shirts. I was contemplating wearing it today. But I didn't know if it was going to interfere with like the non-advertising thing that YouTube seems to have, where I've had stuff where I've mentioned before or held up on screen or whatever, and they sort of said, no, you can't do that. So I didn't know if that was going to happen again. So, but it says the Green Turtle, and then on the back they have like a new brew. It's like the Terrapin Blast or something like that, because Maryland Terps is our big college, University of Maryland's their mascot. It's advertised their new beer that they're going to have. So they're giving those away for free. It's like, okay, cool, free T-shirts. We sat down. It was air conditioned room. We had a very attentive server. His name was Ethan. And we got our drinks, and ended up getting a crab pizza for an appetizer, which is a flatbread with crab dip on it. Being in Maryland, you're a crab foodie. Crab is like your lifeblood, and it's good. It was really good. I mean, you don't have to be from Maryland to enjoy crab. Crab's really good, particularly crab cakes, and crab dip is great. So it has crab dip on the flatbread. Now, look at the menu. They had their summer menu stuff up there, and I love crab dip, and I saw something called the Krabby Melt. I was like, that sounds pretty good. It was crab dip and bacon and tomato and a sandwich. I was like, yeah, that might be pretty good. And my wife was like, well, you know what? That seems to be like a little too excessive amount of crab dip for me. So since we got the Krabby Pizza, she's going to get the turkey raspberry sandwich, which she said was really good. In retrospect now, I probably should have gotten something else. Maybe the chicken Chesapeake sandwich, because it had chicken with the crab dip on it. But, to get a little bit more substance to it. But I ate a lot of crab dip, and it upset my stomach a little bit because of the I think I'm slightly lactose a little bit. So just the cheese and the cream and the crab dip sort of upset my stomach a little bit. So after that, we still had, while we're chatting, I said, hey, you know what? Why don't we check and see if Owings Mills movie theater, which is closer to where we live. Hunt Valley is about 25 minutes from here. Owings Mills is about 10 minutes from here. They have a movie theater also, and they're going to be building like an Owings Mills town center type of thing similar to the Hunt Valley one. They haven't done it yet. They're tearing down the mall now, and then they're going to clean all that up, and then they'll start getting the buildings prepped for that. So it's going to be a few years before we get something like that over here, but that's the plan. They're trying to do that. But they have a big movie theater. So I picked up the phone. This is, by now it's probably about 6:45-ish. As we're waiting for our food. And I say, why don't we check and see if they have a showing of Guardians of the Galaxy at Owings Mills. If they don't have one, maybe we can go see Wonder Woman, because we both haven't seen Wonder Woman yet. And I know she wanted to see it, but I think we want to wait for our daughter to see it with us. But I think she really, really wanted to see Guardians. So by this time, she was feeling a little bit more human. She had a free T-shirt. She had some drinks, and she had some food in her, so she was fine. So I said, okay, why don't we check it? So I checked Owings Mills. They had an 8:15 showing of Guardians of the Galaxy 2. I was like, okay, why don't we do that? I mean, we don't have any kids for the night. The movie will be over close to like 11, and we usually go to bed around 11 anyway. So we'll just, go to bed a little later than usual, and we'll just suffer the consequences on Friday. So it's like, okay, so we still had time. So once dinner was done, we still had time. So we did a little, what we call Pokemon Go hunting, which is funny. It's always been, and whenever we have like a date night, we had a date night last year also where we did a lot of Pokemon Go hunting and watched a movie also. But we like Pokemon Go hunting, both my wife and I. So we did that around the Hunt Valley Town Center because it's a big area. They have lots of Pokestops and gyms, and we're in the middle of the Fire and Ice event right now, so lots of stuff was spawning. So we were having a good time about that. When we're walking around, there was something called a Yappy Hour. We saw signs for them. We actually saw it. It was in the area where the gazebo, as I told you about, where they have the concerts. It's once a month. And there's a pet value store in that shopping area in Hunt Valley. And they host this thing. So you can go in, you can get drinks, and you can bring your dogs. This is outside. So there was just a group of people with their dogs having a Yappy Hour. And I think that the pet value had some stuff for the dogs. So you could drink some brew or whatever and then give your dog some doggy treats. And that'd be your Yappy Hour. And then the people would walk their dogs around the area as well after they were leaving, stuff like that. So it was nice to see that and kind of fun. And we knew full well our daughter, who absolutely adores doggies, would probably love to see that. So we might go back for that in July when they do it again in July, just for her to see it. Might be neat. So we had that as well. And then we headed back home, and then we went to the movie theater in Owings Mills, and it was, Guardians is on its way out. It came out in May, early May. So, now it only stays in movie theaters now about a month and a half now before all the new movies come out and push it out. And then it gets a DVD in a couple months after that. So it'll probably be on DVD in August, probably. So we go to the movie theater. So it's in one of the smaller theaters, obviously, because it's on its way out. So they put it in one of the small theaters. Now, Owings Mills at one time was an area that had the dinner and a movie thing. I don't know if you've ever heard of this stuff. And there's still theaters out there that still do this, where the seats are leather and you have a table in front of you, and you have two chairs. So it's like a date night thing. So you and your spouse, or you and a friend, or you and a kid, if you want to, one of your kids, could sit together in one, and they're spaced around, so you're not crowded and you're not all on top of each other. You've got plenty of space around there. You have a table. They used to have where you would order a set menu. You have your choice of like 3 different things. You'd order one of those. They bring it to your table. You could drink. I think they had alcohol. If not, I don't know. They might not have a liquor license because they don't offer alcohol at the movie theater itself. I don't know if they had a temporary one for this event, or if you just could only get soda and water. I'm not exactly sure. Or you could bring your own. I honestly, I don't know. I don't remember. This was years ago. So Owings Mills Theater, they built a couple theaters that had this dinner and a movie type of thing. So you would, be eating food and drinking, and you watch a movie at the same time, and just be you here and your spouse or whoever, friend, whatever, next to you in these nice leather seats. But eventually they got rid of that because it either wasn't making money for them, or it just wasn't getting the interest that they were expecting. But they weren't going to tear all that down and put movie chairs in there for whatever. So they kept the tables, they kept the chairs, and the same event that maybe they want to do special events or whatever, they might bring it back out. So they wanted to keep at least 1 or 2 of the theaters that way. So them being the smaller ones, that was the best place for them. So the theater that this was in was one of those theaters. So we got to sit down in the leather seats. We had the table, and it was just comfortable. Now, I was hoping that they were going to update the trailers, because I thought maybe the trailers, you could splice new ones onto every tape. But now I think about it in film. Now I think about it in retrospect now, it probably isn't true, because I think it comes pre-packaged with trailers already. So you just run the whole thing through, and it just runs the trailers that you have. We saw trailers for The Mummy, which came out 2 weeks ago, and Wonder Woman, which came out like 3 weeks ago. We saw trailers for those. They were movies that were already out. We saw some from movies that hadn't come out yet, but they were old ones we've seen a million times. Spider-Man, Force Awakens, stuff like that. So I was kind of disappointed that we didn't see newer trailers, but que sera, sera. But it was a fun time, and we enjoyed the movie, and then that was it. And then speaking of trailers, segueing like that. Black Panther trailer came out. I'll talk a little bit about this more in a couple weeks when I hopefully get MJ Khan, my co-host for the comic book show, back on. But it's the first footage we've seen of the Black Panther movie coming out in February, and it looks good. It looks really, really good. Marvel's going to have another huge hit on their hands, and can't wait to see it. And it's an almost all African American cast, which is fantastic for diversity's sake. We have the case of Patty Jenkins, who's been racking up all kinds of money and prestige with Wonder Woman. So you have mostly a female cast with a female director. Now you're going to have hopefully an African American superhero movie with an African American director come in and make some bank on that as well, and prove to people out there that diversity does sell, despite what the Marvel Comics brand states doesn't happen. That's just the comics, and we've already talked about that. We'll talk about that on our comic show later. So that was interesting. So a little segue to that too. Twitter. I'm a Twitter fan. I do most of my stuff on Twitter. You can see at the bottom here, it says @Holodill, @DylanProco. I have 2 accounts, technically 3 if you want to. I also have one for my cat that I sometimes do. But Twitter and Facebook always seem to do these updates where they are trying to emulate each other or try to be different or stuff like that. So there's been a bunch of different ones. And so they make changes all the time. Twitter still does not do an edit function, which is what Facebook does. So you can edit if you type in something wrong or misspell something, you can go and edit and then fix it so that you don't have that bad tweet. You don't have to go in and delete it and then rewrite it again. You can keep it, just change it up there. But there's a new Twitter update now that I'll just do a quick little, there's Twitter update. Boom, the round circle stuff and things like that. And all the Avies now are circular, and they rearranged the icons at the bottom, for home and what do you call these, notifications and direct messages, and then they put the tweet button up at the top, and then to get to the main, it's just there's a lot of little if, ands, and buts, but I'm not going to show you. I guess it's not going to work out, but there's a lot of little things here and there that change it, and a lot of people are freaking out about how much they hate the new Twitter update. To me, it's fine. I mean, I wish they would have done an edit function, but it's just like with a lot of things, just take some time to figure out, where everything is, and once you do, how to utilize it. So I'm going in there utilizing it, and it's fine now. I mean, I have no issues, no qualms with it. I'm fine with it. I mean, I just use it to write little mini blog things, and that's about it. I kind of already talked about Father's Day. I really don't have much to add to that because I've been doing this show for years now. I mean, I'm episode 195. I'm 5 away from 200. And then 4 years would be 208. So episode 208 is going to be my 4th year episode. So that leaves 13 episodes to go to my 4th year episode, and then 5 to go before I hit 200. So I've been doing this for almost 4 years. And so during that time, a lot of stuff I discuss, sometimes I reiterate it, stuff like that, because not everybody has seen those or want to go back and check them out. I mean, I'm on episode 195. I mean, I couldn't tell you what was on episode 87. I mean, I could because I got the playlists. Let's be a smart ass, shall we? Let's see what was on episode 87, but let's keep talking while I do this. So, what was my point? I've already pretty much talked about everything to do with Father's Day, because I've done Father's Day shows in the past. I'm actually going to release a show I did a couple years ago with Jerry Fletcher, where we did our top 10 dads in pop culture. We did one for moms, also for Mother's Day. That's kind of interesting. So here we go. We're getting close to 87. So episode 87 of my show was Summer is Coming. It was a show much like this. Meteorological Dylan Knows. Yeah, I think it's just me by myself. I don't see a co-host. So yeah, it was just me by myself talking about all kinds of weird stuff. So that was episode 87. I don't know why I just pulled that. Episode 88 was the Father's Day one. Okay. Father figure. That's the 10 episode. That's the Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so that's my Father's Day show that I did. So it's good to know that it's episode 88 is the top 10 dads in pop culture. So as I said, I if you've been watching every episode, a lot of the stories I say and tell you might have heard before, and a lot of the ones I know I've just talked about recently. Like I talked about my dad a couple weeks ago when he turned 70, and I mentioned this thing about Father's Day, which I'm not going to do again because I already mentioned it. So I'm not really going to talk much about Father's Day. But as I said, tomorrow is Father's Day. For those who are watching on Father's Day, happy Father's Day to you. For those who are watching after Father's Day, I hope you had a good Father's Day. So I think I covered everything right now because I'm live now, but a lot of my viewers come after when I post the video. I've got one viewer now, so thank you for watching. Here's to you. So happy Father's Day to all those people. So I'm going to talk about that. I may as well talk about what I just did. And now they lost. Oh, come on, man. I want to talk about this. It's Zima, man. We're going to talk about Zima. My wife thinks I'm crazy, but there's been a lot of stuff is the 90s, I guess. Stuff that's being reintroduced. Twin Peaks is being reintroduced in the middle of a great season, which I am going to talk to. I think I'm going to aim that for my 200th episode with Mike Belinsky. I'm going to probably talk to him about having come on and we'll talk about Twin Peaks that day, the new series. And the X-Files is having a refurbishment, and the Golden Girls and all this stuff. So a lot of shows from the 90s and a lot of music from the 90s are getting revisited and stuff like that. Well, when I went to college, and I went to Albright College in Reading, Pennsylvania, this is the same place where I did the Comedy of Errors Shakespeare play I talked about earlier in the show. As I said, I'm going to be 44 on Tuesday, so this is past pretty much. I really can't get in trouble for this because it's way in the past now. Like a lot of college kids, I drank alcohol before I was 21. Oh my God. They're going to come arrest me now. Well, no, they shouldn't because I'm 43 now, and that was 20. I've more than half. It was like 20, 21, and 22. So it's more than half my age I drank. I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, as in college, when you go to college, it's a really empowering time for kids. I mean, yes, you're learning. You're there to learn and to jumpstart you on your career by taking classes that are going to help you find a job once you get out of college. I went to college for a couple of reasons. One, I didn't want to disappoint my parents that they were expecting me to go to college, though, they always said, if you don't want to go to college, you don't have to, but you're going to have to find a job. We're not just going to let you just lie around and drink Zima all the time and just watch TV. No, they said, you're going to have to find a job doing something. So I figured, why not last 4 more years of schooling? I'll be away from my parents and I'll be able to get a taste of life on my own, because up to that point, I really hadn't been on my own. So I went to college, Albright College in Reading, Pennsylvania, which is about maybe 2.5 hours away from here. So it's not terribly far away, and it's not terribly close. So it's not terribly far away so that if something happens, I can get home quickly, or I can get taken home quickly. I had an incident with my teeth that I had to get taken home quickly once. I had my sister's wedding and I had to get down there. So it's not that far away, but it's also far enough away that my folks aren't dropping in all the time. Like if I went to Towson University, which is a good school, my wife went to Towson University, but Towson University is literally like 10 minutes, if that, of walking distance from my house where I grew up. And by car, it'd be like 5 minutes. So it would be easy for mom and dad or whoever to drop in and say, "Hey, how you doing here in college?" Or I could go home every day or every weekend or whatever if I wanted to, and you wouldn't get the college experience. Now, I'm sure there's things where you just tell your folks, "Hey, I'm not coming home this weekend. I'm going to stay on campus." But again, you're only 5 minutes away, so there's always that possibility they might show up and say, "Here you are. Hi, we gotta get you this. We want to talk to you. We want to see you. Stuff like that. We miss you." So 2.5 hours is far enough away that they're not going to drop in on you every weekend, but it's close enough that if you have a situation or you need to get home, it's not going to take forever to get home and back again. It's a small portion of your day. So up to that point, I had never drank alcohol, and I'm not just saying that. I never was interested in drinking alcohol. I wasn't popular enough to go to parties where I'm sure there were alcohol going on at high school parties. At prom, I went with a friend of mine. We weren't even dating. I went with a friend of mine, and I drove my dad's car. I hung out with some friends of mine. We had dinner at their house, and then they had a limo to the prom, and I drove my date in my car. We hung out for a while, and then I had to drive all my friends back because they didn't have enough money to cover the limo on the way back home, so I was able to drive by them. But we didn't drink at all, and then went back to a friend's house, and we didn't drink. We weren't drinkers. So high school, I didn't drink alcohol at all. So freshman year now, as I said, I'm 2.5 hours away from home, and I get my first taste of being on my own. I had a roommate who was interested in pledging a fraternity. I never was. And he also had a girlfriend who went to Temple in Philadelphia. So he was going to Philadelphia. Philadelphia's just about an hour away. So he went down there a lot. And she came up every once in a while too. But I met up with some friends, and I'll remember this distinctly. I think the first time I ever had alcohol was, I want to say, might have been as late as December. No, I think it was cool. And that was like October. No, it was like October, November, December, somewhere around there. It was early on, and my friends who were part of this group that when at Albright they have something called pop groups, peer orientation people, where a lot of people, this is their first time being on their own. We have pop leaders who are upperclassmen, sophomores, juniors, seniors, whatever. And there's two of them, and they get a group of about 7 to 10 freshmen, and we do all kinds of stuff for a week, because the freshmen come in a week before the upperclassmen do to get oriented and get themselves set, and then the upperclassmen are doing, and then the next day school starts. So they're supposed to be like your first group of friends before you make your own friends. So we had they were my friends at the time, so they were going to be a party at the senior apartments. So we walked over to the senior apartments, and of course there was beer from a keg. So it was my first ever taste of beer. Was in not red Solo cups, it was little white cups, clear cups, I should say. I drank one. I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. And then I was by myself. My friends went off and did their own thing. I hung around a little bit, but I drank only maybe about 2 or 3 beers. Now, once again, as I said, this is the first time I ever drank alcohol. So my tolerance was way down. So after about 3 of these small cups of beer, I was already dizzy and going all crazy like that. Now, here's the funny part. My dorm was off campus. Campus is small. So we have the campus, and then we have the senior apartments, which are up here. And then we have my dorm, which is all the way over here. So we walk from my dorm to the main campus, to the senior apartments. It's probably about a 10-minute walk, maybe 15 minutes, maybe. And so I sort of lost track of my friends. They were doing their own thing. They weren't really my friends, because we didn't really hang out all that much. I was just sort of the guy that was there. I didn't really have that many friends early on. My true core friends didn't come till sophomore year. So, I mean, don't get me wrong, I had some friends, but my true core friends didn't happen till sophomore year. And so that night I was done. Now, we had just walked, so I was going off back to myself. I'm going to go back to my dorm. Now, luckily, my roommate was away that weekend. He was visiting his girlfriend at Temple. So he wasn't going to come back till Sunday. This was probably a Saturday night. So I'm dizzy, drunk, walking a little crazy. And luckily, I was able to make it from the senior apartments. There was a path in the senior apartments down to the campus. And then I walked across campus. And then I had to walk through the neighborhood and cross 13th Street to get to my off-campus dorm. And but the funny thing was, it was 4 floors filled with people. So there were lots of students around. So it wasn't that bad. But I'm dizzy and walking. And I remember going up to one of the offices, walking past one of the offices, and I had to pee in the worst way. So I just dropped trow right there and I peed in front of one of these offices, and then zipped back up and then walked all the way home and went right to my dorm room and passed out. That Sunday was horrible. Luckily, my roommate was going to be back till late Sunday. So Sunday morning, I woke up with the worst headache in the world. I kept the shades drawn. It was dark in my room. I stayed in bed all night. We had a little bathroom off to the side. So I would get up and go into that bathroom every once in a while and vomit and just hang out there and wait till I settled and then went back to sleep. I don't think I ate anything that day. So it was my first time getting totally drunk and also my first time being totally hungover. So I learned from my mistakes, stuff like that. So I said my true core friends came about in sophomore year and then expanded junior year and then senior year. So in the sophomore year, I had my own dorm room for 1 semester and a semester and a half technically with the mini semester in January. And then I had a really cool roommate in the spring semester. And then junior year, me and my friends took over a hallway of our dorm, so we were all hanging around there. And then senior year, I had my own room where my friends lived off campus, so I could go to their house to party there if I wanted to. But I've told stories before too. We had ways to get alcohol, so we were drinking some alcohol in our dorm rooms and stuff like that. But I guess maybe you could chalk it up to my beer experience. Being my first experience with any really hard alcohol was beer, and my friends loved Yangling Lager, and Black and Tan was another big one that they liked. So whenever we hung out, they were able to get those somehow. They had a friend who was older, so I think he was able to get some for them, or they had fake. I'm not exactly sure, but they had alcohol available for us. And I didn't ever really get trashed like that again at college, except for maybe my senior year when it was senior week. But I had learned enough in my 4 years that I was not miserable during that time, but I got trashed a lot of that time. I'm trying to remember if there was any other time I got truly trashed. I can't think of any time in my other years that I got totally trashed. I did that first time freshman year. There was a time in my junior year where I got totally trashed at my sister's wedding. That's a different story for a different time. But it wasn't on campus. And even then, I was old enough because it was 93. No, I wasn't. I was 20. In 93 when my sister got married, and I went to my brother-in-law's bachelor party. He had his bachelor party the day before, 2 days before his wedding. And he didn't want to get wasted. So I made a deal with him that I would cover for him. So his friends kept plying him with alcohol. He drank some of it, but he gave me the majority of it. So I drank, I took one for the team. I drank a lot more alcohol and I got really sick. And it was I told that story before and I'll tell it again some other time probably. But my point is that, so my friends, when we drank alcohol in college, they all liked beer. As I said, Yangling, Black and Tan, and then they sometimes got, if they couldn't get the Yangling or whatever, or they didn't have enough money, they get some of the cheaper stuff, Keystone or whatever you want to call it. And I drank it, but it wasn't really my favorite. Then I discovered Zima. Now, I was also the type of guy that I liked wine coolers also. So Bartles and James was a big thing during that time. So I would drink wine coolers. I drank Zima. I drank something called Lynchburg lemonade, which was the mixture of whiskey and lemonade stuff. So that stuff will get. But it was, I liked flavor. I mean, yeah, I know beer has its own flavor, but beer itself is beer. Zima is a fruity type of hard alcohol type. It's a refreshing citrus beverage, 5% alcohol. So I drink Zima like water. Um, and I also got Barrels and James also. Particularly when I was 21, we had a liquor store right across the street from the college. Yeah, they were smart. No, literally, they were really, really smart. They made it bank. And they probably are still there too. So I get some Zima sometimes, and I would get Barrels and James or other ones, and sometimes the Lynchburg Lemonade. I didn't like them as much because I'm not a whiskey guy. So yeah, I'm not. I mean, I'll drink beer, but I'm not a beer guy. I like wine, but in the end, I'm not a big alcohol drinker anyway. Even in college, I didn't drink a lot of alcohol. I drank some, and then when I was old enough, I didn't go bar hopping like my friends did. There was a place they could go. They went out like every night, or they were drinking like every night, it seemed like, and they were drinking at their house all the time. I just never did. I was more interested in watching movies and reading comic books. It's just the way it is. And even now today, my wife laughed at me when I got this. Got a 6-pack. It's all mine. Got it just time for my birthday, which is on June 20th. I'll be 44 years old. I might also take some to my in-laws tomorrow. Well, the problem is I can't really drink at my in-laws' house because I'm driving with my kids and my wife. Plus, I also like the hard ciders now too. I haven't tried the hard sodas or any of that yet, but it reminds me it's sort of like this. But then, so stuff is coming back. So it brings back memories. So I drink in Zima a lot in college, and now it's back for a limited release, and it tastes the same. When I first drank it before I started the show, I was like, yeah, it tastes the same. Excuse me. Though it does make me a little dizzy and warm. But no, I'm not drunk. I'm not going to get drunk because I just don't get drunk. So praise Zima. Zima is out in stores now. That cost me $8.99. I saw it for $1 cheaper at one of the liquor stores in Hunt Valley when we did our date night the other night. So if you go to your local liquor store, it'll probably be within that range of $7.99, $8.99 for 6-pack. So you can go for that. So if you want to just get some nostalgia going, grab yourself a 6-pack of that. It's bringing back some memories, but not that much. Actually, it still tastes pretty good. I still like it, and that's the end of that. What else should I cover? Yes, let's cover this. This is a big thing too. Switching gears again. I do a show, another show. I do a bunch of shows. I do a show called The Comic Hall. My most recent one was this past Wednesday, on June 14th of all days. Wow, lots of stuff happened on June 14th, which I already talked about in the show. And basically, it's, I buy comics every week, and the Comic Hall is where I come down here and I show you them, show you the artwork, tell you about the story, who's writing it and drawing it, and try to entice you into going to your local comic book store to buy comics. Because, as I mentioned before, comics bookstores are surviving because of people like me. I was buying comics when I was in my 20s at comic book stores, and now that I'm, and they get your hooks in you, and I'm a collector now, so you want to keep buying them, so they still make them for people like me. And so, the majority of people who are in comic book stores now are older people like me, guys who are going to be turning 44 on June 20th, like I am. So there's only so many people that are going to keep buying comics for a while, because if they're all going to be my age or older, eventually they're going to get too old and be like, you know what, I can't afford it anymore because I got to save for retirement or whatever, or I got to do other stuff. And I've been cutting down on what I've been reading also because I got to save money for other things as well. But, once we get too old to buy comics, there's really nobody behind us who's going to keep the comic book stores alive unless they get to you now. When you're in your 20s, the kids that are in their 20s. But now the kids in their 20s nowadays, they don't care about floppies, as I like to call them, the actual physical comic books in your hands. They care more about, video games and social media and doing stuff online and the internet and their phones and stuff like that. Now, some comic book stores were kind of smart. Not comic book stores, but comic book companies were kind of smart. Like one person created a Comixology website where you can download digital versions of the comics that come out this week. You pay the same price. The money goes to Marvel, DC, whoever, and they get their money. And so instead of actually buying a floppy, you download it onto your computer, your phone, or whatever, and you read it. And it gets released the same day as everyone else does, and you read it. And in some cases, a lot of people think it's better. It's like a Kindle where, you can store all these comics in your phone or in the cloud or whatever, instead of like the boxes, which I have, which you can't see right now. I got a ton of boxes here, I got a ton of boxes in there that my wife eventually is going to either burn or throw out if I don't figure out what I'm going to do with them. I keep buying comics, so I'm going to have more and more boxes. So we got to figure out what we're going to do with them. And I'm a collector. I mean, I read some of the comics, but I don't nearly read all the ones that I buy. So I need to start thinking about reading more or cutting down on them. But, these comic book stores, though, they sell the floppies. And if people are downloading them from Comixology, they're not going into the stores physically to buy the comics. They have them on their phones, and they can just read them from there. So comic book stores, can't keep surviving on that alone. So you got to bring in the younger people to try to get in here. Now, luckily, we're in a Renaissance age where comic book movies and TV shows are all the rage. Everybody wants one. They make tons of money. And I'll talk about the summer movie busts in a few minutes as a segue from this. But the problem is, everyone believes that comic books are just superheroes, big muscle superheroes or big breasted chicks in tight outfits kicking ass, stuff like that. That's because that's what it was really basically kind of in the 90s. And that's what a lot of people were like, yeah, this is kind of dumb. And it is. In the 90s, comics were kind of dumb. And I stopped reading comics and I stopped collecting them for a good few years after that. But comics have eventually evolved, and now they're getting more diverse. That particularly is due to the rise of the independent comic companies. Now, Marvel, for the longest time, they were a very diverse company, but all of a sudden they bring their butts kicked by DC, and they're blaming the diversity of their comics for their low money, their low earnings. So they're cutting all of their diversified comics and are going to reintroduce all the white superheroes you're used to seeing. So gone is going to be diversity, and you're going to be back to just typical white superheroes like happened in the 90s. The big-breasted women, stuff like that. DC, meanwhile, has been trying to get diverse, and they do pretty good at it, but they're more concerned with building the universe. And they're playing it smart because they're not releasing as many books as Marvel is. And that's the main reason why Marvel's losing money, is because they're releasing so many damn books that's not funny. That's why they're losing money, because people aren't buying these books. You shouldn't be releasing as many books as you do, because nobody can afford them to buy every one of your books. DC has a small amount that they do, and they've changed prices on a bunch of them, and that's why they're succeeding. Now, independence, though, is the area where you come into where you get the people who they are not beholden to Marvel and DC. They are not beholden to years of backstories and stuff like that. What is that term? I can't think, but backstories and continuity. Independent stories are giving all kinds of people a different type of outlet to do their comics. Now, yes, some are superheroes that are different than the Marvel and DC ones. They're people who couldn't get into Marvel and DC to work on the big boys. They create their own characters, which are similar, and then they tell their stories that they want to. Plus, they don't have to adhere to the continuity. They can create characters and create their own history and stuff like that. And they can own those characters also. With Marvel and DC, they're owned by Marvel and DC. So you're getting a lot of creators who come out and they're doing things, and that's where diversity comes in. You've got, black women writing and drawing comics. You've got gay and lesbian and bisexual men and women writing comics and drawing them. And there's characters that they're lesbians and gay and bi and transgender and stuff like that. So you're starting to build it up. So you've got your superheroes out there. But comics are also more than just superheroes. They tell stories. One of the most popular comic book stories recently, in recent days, was March, which was a 3-part graphic novel series which dealt about the Martin Luther King and the equal rights fight in the 60s. That's all it is. It was written by a member of Congress who's now a member of Congress, who was a part of that. It's an autobiography, basically, of the civil rights movement and stuff like that. And it's hugely popular. A few years back, a book called Blankets, it was a big, thick trade, one-shot story, made a lot of money and won all the awards. And it's just basically about a guy, a kid, a teenager, trying to find his way at a new school, that type of thing. And so comics have also decided they need to diversify their area. In order for them to survive, as I said before, they need to get the younger people to come in and buy comics. So they do all ages comics. They do comics for kids. They also are embracing women, because women have now become huge comic book fans, and they're coming to stores and they're spending money because they have their money as well. So there are lots, and the books that they're buying are books that they're interested in, and a lot of them are not these superheroes. A lot of them are these diverse, not all of them have female leads, but they do have interesting stories, and they're not all about superheroes. There's just all kinds of different stories you could talk about. So people have used the comic medium to tell all kinds of stories, not just superhero ones. One of my favorite series is Amelia Rules, which is like a 6 to 8 book series about a 9 to 12-year-old. It covers her life from 9 to 12 as she goes from elementary school into middle school. And also she goes into it. It's funny, it's pop culture references, very good artwork. And my daughter is 10 and she loves those stories and loves rereading them over and over again. Heck, Diary of a Wimpy Kid is a mixture of comic book and novel. I mean, you've got a lot of writing, but there's lots of bits which are comic books. Big Nate is another one for these kids. These are all stories that are, that are in the comic medium format, that are books that aren't about superheroes. So a lot of authors, artists, and writers have been using that to their advantage and winning awards and selling it to people who you don't normally expect to, and selling them at Barnes & Noble and on Amazon. And one of those I discovered was artist writer by the name of Raina Telgemore. You might have heard of her, but you might not have heard. She has written and drawn a series of books called, the titles are Smile, Sisters, Ghost, Drama, and she also draws the Babysitters Club series written by somebody else. Smile, Sisters, Ghosts, and Drama right now are the 4 big ones. And I don't know how I got into it. I'd seen the books before on at Barnes & Noble, and I might have leafed through them, but I never really thought about them. I think my daughter, someone bought them, and she looked at it and she wanted to read it. So we went to the library, and the first one we found was Smile, which I think is the first one that Raina did. And it's an autobiographical story about herself and how she had to deal with for about 2 years the braces she had and the issues she had with her teeth, and how she had to, segue from middle school to high school, and how, she was bullied, and how she lost her friends and made new ones, that type of stuff. And it's a good story. And then she made a sequel called Sisters, which details her relationship with her younger sister. But then, to show off her ability, she wrote and drew 2 other stories that are not autobiographical, but have some basis in her life as well. One is called Ghosts, which of all those 4 is my favorite. And the other, which really drew my attention considering I've been a member of the drama club, was Drama. Now my daughter's done drama club also, and she really liked drama also. So I bought her drama, and I bought her Ghost, bought her Smile, and I bought her Sisters. So we have all the Raina books, and I've read them, and she's read them over and over again, and they're spectacular. They are amazing. They are great, and it's proof that you can do the comic book medium, other stuff with the comic book medium than superheroes. And as I said, Smile and Sisters are autobiographical, so it's about her life when she was growing up. But Ghosts and Drama are two really, really interesting stories that she has experience with, but it's not about her, particularly Ghost. But I'll talk about Ghost last because that's my favorite. But Drama is just basically about the adventures of the kids on the stage crew of a high school play and all the inner workings that happen there. And being a member of the drama club and being worked on those backstage things, I saw a lot of that stuff and the stuff I dealt with when I was doing drama in high school and college. So it basically just follows, a group of people and their ups and downs, and as they're putting on a show and what else happens and relationships and stuff like that. It's got gay characters in it and typical stuff like that. And it's a really good story. A lot of fun, really interesting. And as I said, I see a lot of, what I did in high school and college on a drama group, drama club, and on stage crew in that book. And then there's Ghost. Ghost is Raina came from this town. She wanted to do like a love letter to this town she grew up in. It was a Northern California town on the ocean where it's constantly breezy, a lot of clouds and rain, very little sun. But it's a very spirited place, and their biggest celebration is the Dia de los Muertos, which is the Day of the Dead. So she decided to take that, what she lived through, and craft a story around it about a girl and her sister, younger sister, who has cystic fibrosis, who have moved to this town away from the big city to help the younger sister with cystic fibrosis because the climate's more conducive for her to recover. So, of course, the older girl is angry because she's a teenager and she's got to leave her friends and she's got to go to a new school, and it's not sunny and it's like the middle of nowhere, and she hates it there. And then eventually she meets some new friends, but she's still overly concerned with her sister, who doesn't seem to be getting better. And of course, she meets a boy who talks to her about spirits. And she thinks he's crazy. There's no such thing as ghosts, whatever. But he's like, no, the whole town believes in ghosts. You're going to live here. You need to believe in the ghosts, and I'll show you why. So he takes him and the younger sister, who has cystic fibrosis, on a ghost tour. And we discover that this town, there is a mission on the top of the hill which overlooks the ocean, which is sort of like a portal between the living and the dead. And the spirits come through and they hang out. It's not a horror film. It's, spirits of the ancestors who lived in that town or who are ancestors of the people in that town, like the boy's uncle who died when he was 8 years old comes back as a child ghost. And on Dia de los Muertos, they have a big party where the whole town, they go to the mission and they interact with the spirits and they see their loved ones and they have a big party and they're able to communicate with each other. And you get to, it's hard to describe, but that's, and then on top of that, the younger sister has a turn for the worse when it comes to cystic fibrosis. So it's a very fun, loving, sweet story about family that just so happens to have a little bit of a supernatural edge to it. But it's not horror. It's very sweet. So if you go, all her books are at Barnes & Noble. They're all suitable for all ages. I highly recommend Raina Telgemeier's books, Smile, Sisters, Ghosts, and Drama. And if you're interested in the Babysitters Club books, she's done adaptations of them. My daughter started to read those, so I haven't read them. It just, that doesn't interest me. These stories about her life and stuff like that, that's interesting to me. Also, you might want to check out, as I said earlier, Amelia Rules is another really good series. You can pick up all of them on Amazon or go to your local comic book store. They might have them as well. Same with Raina's books. Raina's books are at the comic book store also as well, because they are comic book stories. So, highly recommended. All right, let's see. I've got 10 minutes left, and I think I've covered everything I wanted to. Oh, I was going to talk about the summer movies. I haven't been following the summer movies as much as I used to. As you get older, it's one of the things that you start noticing. Things you used to really care about a lot lately get swept to the wayside because of other things. I don't really get a chance to go out to the movies all that much. When I do, it's with the kids and they want to go see the most recent cartoons, or every once in a while, as I said, I get to have a date night with my wife. And then sometimes, I take a day off from work, vacation day, and I watch a movie that just comes out that I really, really want to see. I do that sometimes too. The next time we're going to do that is I'm working July 7th. I'm taking the day off of work, but I have to do it because I got to watch the kids because they're not going to be at camp that day. But July 6th, at the midnight shows, I'm going to go see Spider-Man on July 6th because that opens on July 7th. So I'm going to do that so I can recover on July 7th. So I don't really see as many movies as I used to. I mean, there was one time when I was living at home before I had kids, before I was married, and my job was done by the job I had was like 3 a.m. to 10 a.m. So I had the whole afternoon free, and I was within walking distance of a movie theater. I would go to a movie a week. I basically saw 51 movies in 1 year in the movie theater. Um, and it was a fun thing to do because Fridays was always a slow day for me at work. And I'd be done, as I said, by 10:30 in the morning. And then I would just, if there was a movie I wanted to catch at the movie theater, I'd hop on the bus or I'd walk. It was nice. Go up to the movie theater. It was a nice movie theater. There was a Borders bookstore. It was a 4-story Borders that was in there. I would spend some time in there and then go directly to the movie theater. And then after the movie theater was, if the movie was done, if I wanted to, I could, the mall was right there. I could get something to eat at the food court over there, or they had some restaurants in the area that I could get food there too. They did have a food court at one time in the movie theater place, and where the Borders was, but they got rid of that eventually. But you had the opportunity. And there'd be sometimes I'd see 2 movies in a day. Like I'd get there, one movie be at 1 o'clock, be over by 3 o'clock, and then another show at 3:30. I'd be back by, it'd be done by 5:30, and I'd make it back home in time. My mom would be back home. And I said, yeah, just up at the movies or whatever. Or sometimes I just go to the movie. I watch one movie, and then I go to the mall and I'd look around there. There was a comic book store there. I'd go in there, and I'd look around. There's a movie video store there. I'd check that out, and I'll just do all kinds of stuff like that. So it was kind of fun. So I haven't been following the summer movies as much as I used to. So, they announced the summer movies that are coming out this year. You've got Pirates of the Caribbean and The Mummy and Guardians of the Galaxy and Wonder Woman and Cars 3, and you've got the Transformers coming up, and you've got Spider-Man, and Will Ferrell's got a new movie and all this stuff. And a lot of the movies that look like they're coming out this year just appear to be typical summer stuff you expect to see and expect to make a lot of money. However, so far this year, there's only been 2 major blockbusters: Guardians of the Galaxy 2 and Wonder Woman, both comic book movies. Cars 3 had a pretty good opening this week. But other than that, the big scale movies like The Mummy or Pirates of the Caribbean 5 or whatever it is, they haven't been doing well. And it's been the box office, I think, from what I heard somewhere, the box office is down from this time last year. Because there's not as much stuff people are interested in seeing in the movie theater now. So I don't know if this is going to continue, but comic book movies right now are the big thing. Everybody wants to make comic movies because they make bank. They make a ton of money, and they know they're going to make a lot of money when they release them. But does that mean, that these other movies that are not comic book movies, they're not getting the love because they're not comic book movies, or people just the way things are nowadays, where you have your giant 80 foot screen? It's not really 80 feet, but you get your big giant big screen TV and your big giant sound system, and you just don't want to pay the crazy prices to go to the movie theater, where you go to the movie theater, you sit in uncomfortable chairs for a couple of hours, and while you're watching movies, people just are rude and talking. They're on their phones or whatever, and it's not a fun experience. do you just say, I'll just wait for it to come out on video because it's coming out on DVD literally like 2 months after it comes out. After it finishes its run, it comes out literally like 2 months later. So like 4 months after it came out. So May, June, July, like September, August, September. I would say you probably would see the Guardians of the Galaxy 2 come out on DVD, Blu-ray. So if you don't want to go movie theater, you can go when it comes out on DVD or Blu-ray, grab a copy of it, rent it from Redbox, whatever, plop it in your big giant sound screen, and it's just you and your family, and you're getting the full theater experience as well without having to leave the house. Is that, dipping into things a little bit? Yeah, maybe. Or maybe it's just that people need to, movie production companies need to come up with better ideas, new ideas. It's hard to say. I think I'm going to end the day because I'm getting a little woozy. Because I haven't been drinking anything like this in a long time. All done. And the stuff I have that I want to talk about is stuff I can do because I'm probably going to be doing another solo show next weekend. Don't know when. I've been pushing this off for a while, but I can talk about Batman, the 1989 movie with Michael Keaton. Does it still hold up? Singles is on its 25th year. I'll talk about that. The Truman Show I just thought of. Automatic for the People, REM's best album, in my opinion, is 25 years old. I'm going to give it the time it deserves for that. So I think I will do that save all that for maybe next week's show. I will be having co-hosts again, but because of various situations, it's not going to be for a couple weeks. I'm hoping that my co-host MJ Khan will be available the weekend of 4th of July, so we'll be able to do our comic show. We haven't done it in about a year, or not a year, about a month. We didn't do one in June. And same with my co-host Sherry Fletcher. We haven't done an episode in June either, or May. I don't think. Did we do one in May? Yeah, we did one in May. Been doing one in June though. We'll do another show that. So hopefully the first 2 weeks of July we'll do that, and then we'll get back to some sort of semblance of a schedule. My 200th episode will probably be showing up sometime in the end of July. It'll be 196 next week, which is solo. 197 comic books. 198 list show. 199 is mid-July solo, and then 200 be the end of July. So we're looking at probably. My 200th episode will air the weekend of July. Let me see here. Hold on a second. June. So 196, 197, 198, 199. The weekend of June 22nd to July 22nd to 23rd is when my 200th episode will probably air. So it's about a month from now. So keep your eye out for that. And then sometime around September, the weekend of the 9th, 10th, or the 16th, 17th will be my 4-year anniversary episode in September. So I got some stuff coming up. Try to get some more people on here, but nobody ever wants to play with me. So, oh well. So hope you enjoyed today's show. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there, and the mothers who are the single mothers who also have to do the fatherly jobs. Happy Father's Day to you too. Happy birthday to myself, June 20th. I'll be 44. At Holidil at Dylan Proco, you can send money, send good wishes, get me presents, whatever. I don't care. 21st is the first day of summer. I'll be back that weekend. Let's see, it'll be the 23rd, 24th, and 25th. It'll probably be me solo again, unless I get someone else to come in and hang out with me. We'll see. It'll be summer. It'll be summertime. We'll be getting our summer shows, and I'll be talking about all kinds of different things. We'll see what happens next week. I talked to you about my birthday probably, and Father's Day, and the oral game I'm going to, and stuff like that. Probably even pull out some of these Automatic for the People, and Batman movie, and Singles, Truman Show. So that we'll pull some of that stuff out and discuss that, and then we'll see whatever else comes up this week. I know there's probably going to be something that's going to a bunch of things that are probably going to come up this week that I'll be able to talk about. So it's going to be an interesting week at work. My boss is on vacation, so we got a ton of stuff going out and work going. So it's going to be crazy. Got a new employee, so it's going to be a hard one. So maybe I'll talk about a little about that also. And also my nice new haircut. I love it. It's nice and short. I'm happy. I'm really tired now that Zima is kicking my ass. But hey, go out and buy some. As I said, $7.99. Some liquor stores, $8.99 to others. It's cheap enough. It's 6 of them. And, maybe it'll bring back some memories from the 1990s. Hopefully good ones for you. On that note, again, happy Father's Day to everybody. That's it for spring of 2017. Next time we talk, it'll be summer of 2017. I will see, we will not have another spring until 2018. So that's a whole year away. But we got a whole lot of year left to go. Summer, my 200th episode, my four-year anniversary show, my holiday stuff coming up in the last half of the year, movies, discussions, list discussions, combo discussions, all kinds of fun stuff coming your way in the rest of the year. So about 6 months into the year, about 6 months left in the year. So enjoy yourselves. Happy winter to everybody in the Southern Hemisphere, Australia, New Zealand, parts of South America. Brace yourself for some cold coming your way. And up here on the Northern Hemisphere, get ready for some brutally hot days coming your way. Happy Father's Day again. And I'm going to go pass out now.